for about 25 years, I believe. But the idea of the military, in military, have no choice in the matter. What goes under their skin is just the way it goes. It's just another order, and if you don't do it, you're in deep trouble, as we've seen. There are all kinds of reactions reported on vaccines. Some of the vaccines used in the U.S. are forbidden in other countries. There's been a lot of controversy. In fact, there's a couple good books. One of them, I think, is just simply called Vaccines, because I think 800 sources, Atlantean Press produced it, and it's a very good expose on the subject. Military are often given what would otherwise be considered experimental vaccines, as was the case with anthrax and in other instances. The idea of using enhancement drugs to increase stamina would not surprise me either, in terms of just what's in the open literature, because this is sort of the other side. Is at the same time you're looking for systems to degrade your adversaries, you're trying to find systems that allow you to better perform in terms of your own military, whether that's to be awake and more alert and more conscious and focused, or whether it's to be, just at that little bit of extra edge of awareness. And at the same time, other technologies used for military purposes, implant technologies for tracking troop movements and your special forces is often used. But at the same time, they imply other things. If you can track one person, then the adversary can too. When you're looking at things under the skin to affect behavior, yeah, there's things you can do to keep your troops in a much better way, fighting position.
The manipulating of the mind, Nick, will it continue?
I think that's just the temptation is just too great. The knowledge is gained in huge leaps. I think this is really the time to regulate and go a little bit further. And I think we need to really look at these technologies in the light of regulation. And not to say we should shut them down. We just need to be very aware of what we're doing. And at a time when we need these advances, the temptation to misuse them is there. And it's not just me saying it. It's some of the very insiders to government that have been saying it. In government, when they become aware, as European Parliament was, they act on it, because the first targets of these kinds of systems ultimately is leadership. And that's where, all these guys are sitting there in a position of being exposed. And, when you want to direct the direction of a government, J. Edgar Hoover did it by tapping phones. Now you have technologies that are much more sophisticated than that. We need to be aware of it. We need to regulate it. And then we need to create criminal laws to protect the public when these types of technologies are used without our consent. And I think that's something that, as we develop technology, we need to make sure the public is protected. And the privacy domain of the mind, and the possibilities that are presented in this science truly belong to humanity. They should not be hidden in classified programs.
Hoover would be out of control with today's technology.
It would be horrible. And you think about, some of the things that have gone on that have made the news, whether it's transport for torture programs or what have you, we should be outraged. And the idea that as we advance in these areas, the temptation to use these, that's how they evolved in the first place. Go back to Korea and the term brainwashing coming back when prisoners of war's behavior was so altered that we coined that phrase. And all the things that have come sort of that ultimately lead in two directions. One is to control populations, and the other big discoveries were, oh my goodness, look what all of us are capable of, both collectively and individually. And that, I think, is the most important aspect of this. It's not the fear push, it's the idea that we are much more than we think. In fact, I think the greatest blasphemy against our very essence as created human beings is when we limit what we can do. When we really consider the fact that physics tells us we literally create the reality around us, and we deny it. And those that don't deny it manifest some very unusual characteristics.
Hoover hated to lose on his horse racing, so the mob used to fix the races so he could win.
Well, there you go. And, when you look at all of it, we're going through that, as I mentioned, I alluded to it earlier, this kind of corruption disclosure. In fact, a guy I ran against 4 years ago here is in federal prison for 5 years for the very corruption we were accusing him of. And, you know, here in Alaska, what a lot of people don't realize is we are the treasury for the nation. We hold enough natural resources that are under federal jurisdiction to literally solve the deficit problems if we would look at what's going on up here.
That's true.
And, you know, we have opportunities as a nation, as a planet, to solve our problems on all levels, and we're not paying attention because so much has been driven by special interests that no longer represent the average human being. And that's what's been missing. And when you look at world resources and you look at the possibilities, they are much greater than the destruction taking place right now. And yet, you know, it doesn't take much. Every good change only started with a handful of people.
Let's go to west of the Rockies. Kevin, you're on the air with us. Hi there.
What's up, George? How you doing?
Good, Kev.
Just want to say thanks. And Nick, the way you explain stuff is awesome. I want to say thank you to that.
Well, thanks.
Hey, my question is how this stuff relates to the spirit world. I had this amazing opportunity to go visit Rolling Thunder. Do you know who he was?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
He was the Grateful Dead's medicine man back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right? And I still know his grandson, Elk Thunder, and we went up there, and on the drive up there, these really bizarre, evil thoughts started popping into my head, like, you're going to get up there, you're going to beat him up, you're going to kill him, and all this really, really horrible stuff that I normally do not think, I got to tell you. And to the point where I asked Elk Thunder, you know, hey, man, I don't think I should go. I'm thinking these really horrible thoughts. And kind of chuckled a little bit. He's like, you know, it's a question to ask grandfather. And once we got up there, there was an opportunity where he had people from all the world come study with him. And there was an opportunity where it was just me and him. And without me even opening my mouth, he answered my question. And my question was, first of all, where were those thoughts coming from? And his answer was that evil spirits have been trying to get him forever, and they work through people, and, don't worry about it, it's not you, right? And then my second question was, how do you stop negative thoughts from popping into your head? And his answer to that was, every time something like that starts to happen, or just any kind of negativity, look at nature or something that's pure.
That's interesting.
That would work.
And I just kind of, on what you guys are talking about, how that kind of relates to, it was obviously an intense ESP experience, and I just kind of wanted to, get your input.
Well, you think about just the state of mind that you are when you're in tune with natural situations, whether you're on the beach listening to the surf or in the country listening to the birds or whatever. It tends to slow you down. You slow your breathing. Your brain goes into more rhythmic patterns. I mean, it's a natural state of being. When you're in a position of being surrounded by the things that we've created technologically, they do create a level of stress. It's undeniable, and that level of stress is increased as our technologies have increased. The wireless, advantages and convenience in one sense at the same time present problems physiologically that are going to become better understood as we go along. And then what's going to happen is the technology is going to shift again to technologies that still deliver all the promises of telecommunications and information systems, but do it in a way that is less damaging or not damaging to us physically. And I think that's where the science is at this present moment, is at that point of some realize what's going on, others are trying to figure out, and old people are holding on to old dissertations that should have died a long time ago.
Stress will surely screw up a lot of things, though, won't it, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at all of the illnesses related to stress or that are aggravated by stress, they're in epidemic proportion. And the simplest things, we can learn how to control our stress levels. There's biofeedback techniques, very simple ones that you can utilize that will actually allow you to slow down and learn how to control and literally modulate your own brain activity so you can slow down and let go of that stress and then be in that position where you make more prudent and intellectual decisions. And you can use neurobiofeedback, systems that measure, for instance, skin character on the forehead. Whenever you're
you got to learn, Nick, how to breathe slowly. Nick, we're out of time, my friend. Love you. You take care of yourself.
Hey, thank you so much. The 4 hours always disappears so fast.
You're one of the best. For Karis Coburn, Dan Galante, Jason Bowers, Tom Danheiser, Lisa Lyon, Lex Lonehood, Sean Ladesseur, Ross Mitchell, Ian Punnett, and Art